Crazy. But how's you guys trading week? I saw it's been from what I saw from Danny, and I'm curious on what Toby's chart looks like too.
Toby's
How's
got
it?
some
The
charts.
discretional trading is wild. It's up.
Yeah,
It's really up for some people right now, though.
I got absolutely destroyed last week on Friday. Mostly my fault. I had a couple chances to get out while it was still like a normal size red day. So
Uh-oh.
it was just like a lot of low quality moves, and I just kept trading them.
How about Toby?
Friday was one of my better trading days. I took it pretty and I didn't make many trades, just made a couple good ones and called it a day early.
Nice. I saw a bunch of charts from a bunch of people. It was it was pretty crazy. It was either you were doing really, really well or doing really, really bad.
It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
And it's just a bunch of random people that I follow. I saw also you guys keep up with Crispy Trades? You guys know who that is? He every time I see him, he
Yeah.
reminds me of the quintessential gamer. For some reason, he like looks like the quintessential. From how many trades he takes, he probably was a quintessential gamer. And it's funny because he has a 47% win rate in August, but like literally, I think 0 red days. So it's so interesting to see. But I think there was a day where he took 400 trades, which I guess for Toby is nothing.
Yeah, that's up your guys' alley, honestly.
Yeah,
Toby and Danny usually are in at least north of 200, I feel like.
No, I'm not anywhere near that
Oh yeah,
anymore.
anymore.
I try not to be.
Yeah.
I'm usually closer to like 50 to 100.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's more
that's more what I was too.
digestible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've never really gone over 40. I might have had like a 45 or 50 trade day, but that's a lot.
But that's why I said it kind of shows your personality. For someone like Crispy to be taking that many trades, it's like it shows the personality. And I feel like back when I was younger and in the gaming world, like that, I could probably have handled that. Mentally now, I don't know if I could handle 400 trades in a day and still be, so tuned in. I feel like
He's
while,
young.
How old
He's
is he?
He's like 20 maybe.
What? He's
Yeah.
20?
Yeah. Something like that. I'm actually not even sure that he's 20.
Kid, he made like
must be looking at the wrong
75K
guy.
in August and has been doing like 20K months every single month.
He was with Warrior until I think his subscription ran out just like maybe 2 months ago.
Mm. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Does Warrior have a like once you reach like 100K or 1 million or some sort of milestone, you become like an unlimited member?
No, not really, unless you're like working for the company.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. I'm like, why would I make you an unlimited member now?
because it would keep a lot of high level
Yeah.
Oh,
traders.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Like a marketing thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we have like $100 million traders. They're not going to stick around if they have to pay, 200, 300 a month once they're successful traders, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe they will for the psychologist and all like the group meetings and stuff. I mean, it could still be worth it. I'm just saying, like, yeah.
I think we can, to kind of break the ice of starting off, we can look at that person's question that they had and kind of see what everyone's thoughts is. Because I have my thoughts clearly on it, but I'm curious on what
Let's do it.
Danny and Toby, because technically, well, I'll let you guys break it down before I even interject. But yeah, I think that was
Do you guys see this?
I think you have to click. Did you take a screenshot without seeing the whole thing? Yeah, you have to click read more and then screenshot.
Oh Lord. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Oh yeah, there was a lot more to it.
It's in the Discord though. I put it in the Discord, so you could just take mine.
Oh sweet. I'm gonna stop sharing for now, just so I can
grab it.
grab it.
But I thought it was a pretty interesting question.
No, it's a great question.
Because technically, okay, so I will just say this: it's interesting how that person wants to say a pattern, but really a pattern can be, as micro or macro as you want it to be, right? Like, the same way you trade gap ups, it's not the same thing as a VWAP breakdown. Like, those are two different. One is more macro and one is more micro. Like, the macro is the gap up. The macro is every time it comes to VWAP, I react in a certain way. Whereas the gap up is like, I'm going to trade this because it infers volatility and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll let you guys think about it while you read it.
So we have a new question from our community. So if you post a question below in the YouTube comments or in the Discord, actually we get so many questions in the Discord. We should probably copy and paste some of those. Totally forgot to do that. Anyway, so this is a YouTube question here from the same person as last week. So let's go ahead and answer it. I just zoomed out and I don't know how to zoom back in. Oh, here we go. Again, Guns Emperor, or I don't know, Lawrence.
You can read it. It's there.
All right, it's there for anyone that wants to read it. But appreciate the question. So here it is. Is it really true that you only need one pattern to make a living off of trading? I've heard this twice now in the industry. First from Linda Rashke. Maybe I'm saying that wrong again. Second from David Paul's seminar. Does it sound too good to be true to you guys? It's very hard to stick with a system that works, but has a lot of down draws, plus the constant doubt and confusion from other people, like the market is always changing, or your strategy eventually stops working. Adds to the hardship of following the plan, because every time I get a losing week, I ask myself, is this the time my strategy stops working? Is this the time I find a new strategy? Is this the time I tweak my strategy? Now I've stopped using it, but still collect its data. I have a fully mechanical strategy and it worked for 3 months in a row, then stopped working on the 4th, and now at BE for the 5th month, break even for the 5th month. Is this normal? So the stats are 300 trades, 33% win rate. That sounds like a reversal strategy or something. Yeah. Risk reward 3. PS, it seems to be normal on a simulator, but still would love to hear your thoughts on this. Who wants to start breaking that one down?
I'll let you guys do it, because I'm actually curious about the discretionary end too.
I'm happy to go first. My opinion is, yes, you can make a living off of one pattern or one setup, one idea. But the thing is, it's going to be difficult because, like you said in the question, the market changes. That pattern might at a certain point start showing more rejections. Like, breakouts haven't been working well this year. They've been doing false breakouts more often than not. And so you get in at a breakout spot, maybe you get in 2 cents under the breakout trigger, it goes 5 cents and then rejects 20 cents. So that's just going to be a period where breakouts aren't working well. So like, you have a couple options. You can just wait until the market changes back to being good for your one strategy, or you can adapt that strategy. And that's basically what becoming a profitable or professional trader looks like. You're going to develop and adapt your strategy over time to adapt and match what the current market conditions are doing. Even when you've adapted that one strategy, you're still going to be doing a lot of waiting for that one pattern or that one setup to come around each day, or maybe it comes around once or twice a week. And so, in my opinion, it's not that realistic to wait for that one setup, for that one trade a week, if that's what the market is giving you, because you're going to get kind of rusty, in my opinion. And you might be a little bit slow on the trigger, slow on the hotkeys, the buttons, whatever it is. You might miss that one trade. And if you do, I know what would happen to me. I would probably get kind of triggered if I was just waiting for the one setup I see it that one time that week and that's it, and I missed it. Yeah. Next time it comes around, I'm probably going to be kind of aggressive. I'm probably not going to trade it as well as I could. So I think, yes, in the right market, when one pattern is happening frequently, you can make a living off of that one setup, that one pattern. But realistically, over time, that's not really what the market is going to give you.
Yeah, I agree. And I think everything you said you said can be echoed in so many different ways, but that's the reality of it. It's really just you're waiting. Even if you're good at the pattern, even if you're bad with it, you're still going to be waiting. And I will say this from a lot of testing: the more frequent the pattern, the more noisy it can be, and the more it changes. So if you try to get a pattern that you think, oh, this happens more frequently, well, be ready for a lot of change very consistently. Because the wider the idea, the more probability of it working over a longer period of time. So that's why you wait for extremes. Extremes are obvious and they only happen rarely, right? And they have a higher probability of working because they're not frequent. There's not as much people who recognize it.
That's what I was going to say. They have higher volatility, higher profit potential.
Yeah, higher volatility because obviously the higher the volatility, that's a new experience, that is something that's rare, that is not as frequent, and you also have to be ready for it. I think like that's why, you know, people always say, oh, I wish I was a trader now. I wish I was the same trader now as if I was in 2020, because if you were as good as you are now, you would have crushed 2020 like nothing. You would have probably been a 7-figure trader like everyone else was at that time. But now, you know, we're struggling through the quote unquote hard times.
The lull, yeah, and it'll come back. So I definitely agree with what both of you guys are saying, for sure. The only thing I'd probably add to that is you could probably have like a general thesis, like you trade front side momentum above the 9 EMA on the 1 minute chart, and then you just how you approach that kind of changes based on the season. So maybe instead of trading those breakouts, like Danny was saying, because they're not working, you start accumulating before the breakout. But
yeah,
in a way, it's all kind of similar. You just kind of approach situations a little differently. So you kind of switch up your strategy based on what the environment's telling you.
I think that's what, especially if you're trading a mechanical strategy, you don't have the luxury of discretion or awareness. So you, like, the reason why I say things that happen more frequently have more change is because the people who are in there is more competitive now. They're actually relying on a bunch of different factors that that can make this candlestick react in different ways. And if you're trading something that's more mechanical and very like has very few rigid parameters, you're not what if the liquidity changes? You're not able to be aware to that, right?
Yeah.
To react to that. So in mechanical wise, it's not necessarily the smartest to trade something that happens frequently, but yeah, because of that, you're stuck waiting. And honestly, I don't know especially if you're not doing with a computer, I don't know how you can trust it to be consistent. I feel like I would give up if 5 months I stopped trading and I was like, this thing hasn't worked and I've just lost money. I don't know, but I have some strategies that I've seen that didn't work for 5 months and then they, you know, even longer than 5 months, like a year. I have a strategy right now that's in a lull for almost a year and it hasn't made any profit. But I looked in the past and there was a period where it was down for like 8 months. Like 8 months, it didn't even move. It's a shorting strategy, so it really waits for like the market to be weak. So that's why that happens. So I don't even have it turned on right now because it doesn't really it's not going to take any trade right now. The market is a little bit too strong for it to make money. So
well, I think this question and discussion is a great example of why and how traders develop their A+, B, C quality setups. And an A+ quality setup in one market isn't necessarily still an A+ quality setup 3 or 6 months later if conditions change.
Yeah, agreed.
Totally agree.
And you kind of have to be doing this for a while to really know what that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, I mean, it's a great example of why trading is difficult and takes a while to get a hang of.
You know what I've been recently looking into too is the idea of even indexes and how that whole Shazam works, like ETFs and all of that. I'm actually curious, does anyone actually know how indexes, ETFs, futures, do you guys know how it works, like the whole process?
I mean, the rebalancing of the portfolio basically.
Yeah, but like how it's all calculated and everything?
No.
I haven't really looked into it much myself. I've read a couple of things. I was kind of curious for a while. Also, when I was getting all the foundations for my fund I wanted to start, it was a bit of a similar concept because you need to have buy-ins and rebalancing. But no, in terms of like how the SPY works, I actually don't know how they do that. Do you have more insights?
Yeah, I mean, so first off, the index is actually the SPX. So,
Right.
if you look up
Market is the
if you
SPY.
look up the SPX right now on any on your broker
I can
or
share it.
your platform, you will see the actual index. There's no volume. It's just mathematical calculations based off the market caps of the 500 stocks in the index calculation. So the way, well, futures is easy to, and by the way, the reason I'm bringing this up was because I remember there was a conversation that me and Kobe had where he was like, oh, the futures follow SPY, and I was like, well, no, SPY makes the futures work. And I was like really thinking about it. Well, I know SPY works, but I'm like, that makes no sense. It's just stocks because they all have to be tied to the market. And then I went into the index and I started to understand that. So that's just a little bit of a backstory. But essentially, they a bunch of mathematical calculations over with the market caps of the assets that are in here is what makes them move how it does every day. The market itself, the stock version of it, is just the ETF SPY Global, SPY Global, the company, emulating the index. So how do they do that? Essentially, they have a bunch of authorized participants that can add and remove shares whenever they want. And they do that to balance the stock prices to be the same as SPX. So like, let's say the price of SPY is at, it's multiplied by 1,000. So let's say SPX is at 4,500 and SPY is at $449.
Right.
They can add shares to make it balanced so that they're equal. And this is just if you're trying to make them balance. They can just buy shares to make it equal. And so what these authorized participants' jobs is to essentially, they make profit off the arbitrage. So off the differences of how far it goes from the natural value, from the net actual value, the authorized participants add or remove shares to the ETF so that it balances with the natural price of the index. This is why you can actually trade the index. You're just trading authorized participants structuring a market to fit with the indexes. So they make a profit. Yes, they make a profit off the arbitrage. And these are big banks, big institutions. And that's, they have all the power to actually make this happen in such a high speed environment. That's why they are the authorized participant. This is why you can't just be an authorized participant. But yeah, it allows you to trade trade the indexes because they provide you the liquidity essentially. And yeah, I know that's pretty boring, but something to think about because the futures version of that is just contracts so that you will buy or sell something at that price. So if you buy 10 contracts of SPY, it's just a promise that you will buy it at that price later. So the futures actually everything follows the index. And they're all structured in their own way so that they can emulate the price of the indexes. But that's pretty much it. It's something I was thinking about just because I was like, well, what are we actually trading on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
So if you want to manipulate the markets, you can't manipulate SPY. You have to manipulate the underlying.
The underlying assets. Yeah.
So I know. I feel like that was a lecture for for the people who care.
Is that what you guys were talking about in the Discord today? I didn't have a chance to go over the whole conversation.
Oh no, the Discord. I was just telling him about a strategy I made. I shared a picture of a strategy. What I what I created is like dynamic resistance lines, so they redraw over across the day. And when they,
yeah.
That's
Okay,
nice,
okay.
because I end up with so many little lines on my stuff that I
Yeah.
end up not paying attention to.
that's why I shared it, because I thought you guys you would actually like it, because it was one thing that you can actually put on your screen, because it also doesn't allow the resistance lines to be too close to each other. So there's a
That's
distance,
nice.
minimum distance from how far they can be. So I can, and it draws it in real time. So if it finds a strong support, you can actually see it in real time, and you can react to it as you feel fit. You feel like something to have. I guess it's not like I'm using it. One of the strategies is using it, and that's what I'm gonna probably deploy it on Thursday. I have to go through the robustness testing right now, but just another one that we're adding.
It'd be interesting to throw it
What
on
platform
TOS.
does that work with? Does that
Yeah.
work with like Thinkorswim's ThinkScript?
No, I coded it in Ami Broker, so you have to have Ami Broker. But I mean, the idea is there. I can emulate it on something else if I have to code it on there. I already have the idea and the structure for it.
Yeah.
It's really just thinking about what constitutes a strong support line. That's the part that I can't share. Sometimes I feel like I just want to tell everyone everything that I'm doing, but it's like, no, not yet. But but
I get that.
it's what constitutes a strong support line, and how to make it come in and out throughout the day. And I'm also thinking of like, hey, what if I create a bigger support line that actually or resistance line that is actually drawn based off the daily highs and the weekly highs, so that you don't even have to think about it. You just see it over a month period. You can see the previous high and whatever. I think that would be really good for a discretional trader. You damn near don't even have to. You don't have to worry about, oh, is this the support? Is this where I need to trade? Because you will see everything from there and just take the trade.
I don't know if I could handle more lines on my chart, but maybe if they replace some other lines. Right now I got VWAP, the 9 EMA, and the 15 EMA, and then I'll draw my fat red lines are basically just from the daily. I'll start at the daily, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, here's major support or something like that. We have support, we break it, we retest it, we get above it, we retest it again, so like that's a major support, and then on the daily you'll see those major lines. That's pretty much all I have on my charts.
Yeah.
Which
and
some people would even say is too much, but I think it's
really I don't think so.
Yeah, there's some charts where it's like a spider web and you can barely see the charts, the actual price. But then there's people that don't use anything. But I feel like this is a healthy mix. I think VWAP is so many people use it. It's nice to know. The 9 EMA for me is really like where my trading strategy, like I like to be above the VWAP and the 9 EMA, and I trade off of that pretty aggressively, and that's kind of like the core of my strategy.
I've tried creating a VWAP strategy, and I think it works really well here because there's a lot of volatility to bring it up, that it needs to find some natural point of support, and generally VWAP is the most logical. But when you're trading things that trade every day and barely have volatility and whatever, sometimes VWAP just is non-existent. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But and something I'm thinking about, I could just do something like test for volatility first, this like crazy volatility, and then you can now start to trust the VWAP. So I could just make something like that instead.
Yeah,
that's not that hard to make. I just have to create a volatility core to trigger an idea that, okay, this is the type of trade that I need to start taking.
It seems like the volume on certain price zones is really key. Is that what you're basing your last the resistance?
No, so that's why I was telling, the reason why I clarified that, because I thought Kobe would think that. Because I remember listening to him before in the past. He used to think that like volume support zones and like where liquidity traps are such a big thing. And yes, they might be, but in this I didn't really care about, is there significant volume in this level area to look for support and resistance, like supply demand zones. That's not what I'm using this. This is purely based off chart highs and their highs. So it's very good for a discretional trader because you're just trading this. Now I could create one that just is based off volume. So if like someone wanted a line that triggers based off like a part of the chart that has a lot of volume, I could create like maybe a bar that you could see.
That's essentially like point of control.
Yeah, like a point of control, so you can see that. And the fun thing is that I've been thinking about like, dang, maybe I should just go back to trading normally because I can just make everything that I want. But then I'm like, but then I have to take trades. And it makes me feel like it feels like because for me right now, okay, I'll tell you, I tried taking a trade a couple like I think it was a month ago, and just because I was like, I trust this, and my anxiety went up so high. I had never felt that anxious. I used to trade every day. I had
You got to
never
get used
felt
to it
that anxious
again.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like heart palpitations and stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, oh no,
Well,
this I'm done.
That's a great comment and follow up on the one setup idea is when that one setup comes around, like if you're in the right market, maybe you get it like 3 or 4 times a week. If you're not in the right market, like every other week, you're not going to respond to it well.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think
Yeah.
that was pretty much it because that was a really good setup. And I haven't traded for so long, and I just trust what
Yeah.
I tested. So
You got to get used to it again. It's even like that exact same thing happens to me. If I'm trading something, I know I shouldn't be trading. Let's say it's, I don't know, around noon and I was working on something else
Yeah.
and I just open my charts, I'll get way more anxious on that trade than like, I don't know, trade 5x the size on, at the market open or something, because that's
Because
what I
you're like, I
do.
know this isn't the best idea.
Yeah, it's like you kind of
wasn't
already
doing it
know you're
anyways.
doing something you're not supposed to be doing, so you just get really
Yeah.
nervous. Anytime you're out of your wheelhouse, you'll get
Well,
extra nervous. It's
I'll
normal.
tell you this: the time I stopped trading, like I really stopped, which was I think it was in March or April, was when I took a really big loss. I think it was like $600 or $700. Not a really big loss. It wasn't actually. That's the thing. It wasn't that big, but it was such a big loss to me in that time to just take that loss. And I was like, and at the time I had algo. I think my algo started running in March. So at that time, my algos were doing really good. And I was just the bane of my account's existence. I was losing all the money the algos were making. And I was just like, you know what? After I took that loss, I told my girl, I was like, you know what? I took my last trade for the year. I was like, that's my last trade. And then I
Last
broke
discretionary trade. Yeah. Yeah.
I broke the
You're
rule
there.
trying to take the other rate trade. And maybe that's why I was so nervous because I was like, why you said you weren't gonna do this again.
You said you wouldn't do this again. Here, I'll quickly share my biggest loss to date because it just came in Friday. I didn't trade Friday, but a ticker I've been halted in finally opened up.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. EDTX opened up. I took a $5.4 thousand loss. So not very nice. Down 78% on this position, but it is what it is. I can make more in a month. It doesn't really bother me that much. It's a little frustrating because this was exactly one of those trades. It was like I was done trading on the day. I was already kind of closing my applications and I was like kind of looking for something to trade. I was a little bit bored. And this was a ticker that's totally out of my wheelhouse. It was like a $68 stock. It already 10x'd. It's like on a multi-day move, and it's a SPAC, which means it's not even a real stock in that regard. So much more can happen in terms of what goes on in the back end. So I'm just playing with fire. Literally right after I enter it, it gets halted, and it's a T12 halt. So SEC wants to investigate the company. It was halted for more than 30 days. And I don't have a great picture of it, so I'll show it on my chart because it doesn't even load the 1 minute data anymore. It, for some reason, loads the 5 minute in the daily. But on top of all that kind of bad news, I also got an extra $38 reorganization fee because it's no longer listed on the stock exchange. So basically, they just closed the SPAC. Like that's all that happened. So that was
how did they fill the order to give it back to you? Like what?
So I don't even know. They closed it randomly. And there was
So they just give you any exit?
So there was a yeah, it is a little shady. So there is a press release here that it says the EDTX at late Wednesday, it expects to redeem a Class A ordinary shares issued during its IPO on Thursday at 10:34 a share. So basically, they just closed the company for the IPO price, which was a great deal because it was $68 or something like that when it got halted, or 63.24, I guess. Yeah. So, I mean, a big win there for some people. So the blank checks firm said once the shares are redeemed, I know this is a little small here. I can't make it bigger. They are deemed canceled and represent only the right to receive redemption payment. So that's basically what I got. I had shares, I got a redemption payment, and I got a nice fee to accept the redemption payment. So that fee was like already 3 shares right there, almost 4 shares. So, I mean, 78% loss, pretty nasty, but, you know, I'll recover. So it's not the end of the world. But yeah, just be careful, guys, when you start trading tickers that, like they've already 10x. Like, what are you trying to get out of it? And there's more downside risk than upside risk. Like today we were trading what the heck was that, VERB, kind of a funny ticker, and this ticker was halting like crazy. But it's a $1.50 stock when I was trading in this area, and like, what's it going to do? Halt down here? Probably not. It's probably not going to halt all the way back down, but you have that upside potential without major downside potential. I mean, obviously it could still go down 50%, but you're probably not going to have an SEC investigation into a company.
It's cheap. But plus it's cheap though. Like stocks like that are this priced, the upside potential is way more, especially when volume comes in. Remember what we talked about last time, where if something is really cheap, it has more upside potential when volume comes in, because volume just needs to do a little bit to bring it up. But you were trading, I think EDTX was $63 already. So what was it going to go to 150? Like,
dude, I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't think it was going to get SEC investigated the second I literally pressed the buy order.
It was right. Oh shoot, that sucks.
That's like I bought, it went down a little bit and then it got halted, and I was like, it shouldn't have got halted. And yeah, so I mean, that's like a black swan event, kind of super bad luck. It's never happened to me in my trading career. But, at the same time, I kind of put myself in a position trading a ticker that had a high likelihood of something like that happening. Now, the chance of it literally happening during my trade is unlikely, but still, it's a likely ticker to get and halt like that. And usually we'll see stuff like that happen even more closer to like noon and stuff, usually not right at the market open. So very unusual situation, but for me, I want to stick with stocks typically below $20. And yeah, this is good to remember why.
No, I worry about this black swan event too for us. And it's funny because we trade large cap, so really there's very, very low likelihood. But like even Tobie asked me in the Discord, he said, like, how do you plan for black swan events? I said I try my best to be safe, but like I said, like if I had, because we have to take leverage to trade some of these large caps. Like just in general, I need to take leverage to trade these large caps. It's not possible for unless you had like even I know Mars, because I know some of the positions he takes. Like he's always leveraged up. You're always leveraged up more because these things are expensive. So if for some reason Apple halts down, and I have a stop loss or anything with everything, right? I have a stop loss. But let's say it halts down and opens under my stop loss, and I have to just take trade. What if it halts down 50%? Well, 50% of a leverage position could wipe out, 60% of my account, 70% of my account. Yeah. So you got to, but I think you got to plan for things like that and put a stop loss. But there's sometimes you have to be aware that, you're always taking risks. Like we get so comfortable sometimes with the idea that we press buttons and it really is profit or loss and is manageable. And then we forget that, no, there is a chance that an EDTX can happen. Like we never think that could happen.
There's always that like black.
Yes, it's just like right there. And I worry about that in some of these large caps too, because with the banking crisis where you see like FSLR and some of these other stocks, this is another reason me and my brother, we decided we are not making swing trade strategies. Like at least not with our account size right now.
Yes,
I
don't. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't care to make I can struggle figure out, because a lot of algo traders will make swing trade strategies. There are very few algo traders who actually are solely intraday. At least from what I've seen on YouTube, a lot of them, except some of the great trading people, the average in trading people, they do it intraday. But like the people who make bigger strategies that have to work over a long period of time, they make 4-hour bar strategies, and I'm like, I don't know. I just can't trust these markets with my money right now, at least with how much money we have right now. Like maybe down the road when we have a bigger account, then I'd be like, okay, who cares about this much money? But that brings to another topic that I was thinking of. Is like I'm looking into new brokers. So like I'm looking into brokers that just give enough margin that I don't have to put in more money. So I can just like, because we actually did launch the $2,000 account thing that I told you guys. So I had to I stayed up like literally 2 nights coding the whole structure of it, managing multiple accounts per trade. But what it does now is it trades 2 accounts in my one account, and it keeps track of each one individually.
Gotcha.
So like if this one had to take a certain number of shares and this one had to take a number of shares, they will just be put together, and the risk will be leveled up to what makes sense for both of them. They all trade the same strategy, so it's not something new. But you know, I'm thinking, okay, once I have enough money, I'm just gonna get a new broker, because leverage is more like, if I just need the leverage to trade these things. It's not like I need, you know, to put all this money into one account.
Are you trying to get another broker just so the downside of one account getting blown up is gone?
Yes.
Can't you just make another account in the same broker, or would that?
No, because they're going to be trading the same strategies.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
So if it doesn't change anything if I just give another account, because if something goes wrong, if those black swan events go wrong, I don't want margin to completely end my profit of, like, for example, if I have $10,000 in the other broker, and I have like 60K in one broker, I don't need to put 60K in this broker. I can just put 40 or 30 and keep, you know, 20 or 30 in my bank account. Right. And the leverage will make up for me being able to take the trades, because I'm just putting in money right now just so that I can take the trades. I'm not putting in money so that I can make more money. So the leverage that the brokers provide me give me the ability to take in a position.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's why I'm just trying to make sure that I can actually take the money out of the market in general, because though we have like 0.3% exposure in our positions to the overall market over, you know, the 5 years, you know, one day those 0.3% could be the EDTX. And just as much as I don't trust,
there's always that chance, right? That's it. Yeah, it sounds like something short trader would do, like, you know, making multiple accounts. Long bias traders usually don't have to worry about that too much, but
I do both.
You do both, so it's different.
You have to be smart. That's another thing I always worry about with these short, like, luckily these large caps aren't going to go up 100%, which it'd be kind of ridiculous if they did.
You don't have to worry about that too much
because of the float. But yes, anything can happen. I've seen the worst. I've watched a lot of, I don't know if you guys watch a lot of like old trading documentaries, and you see all of the crazy things that happened even before we had like such a sophisticated market.
The Big Short.
I don't for example, the Big Short, but like things outside of that, even like did you see the day where is it Volkswagen or Porsche pushed the stock, like that stock went up
and they ran like 1,000%, right?
Yeah, like, and that's a large cap. That was a large cap. So, you know, that could be me one day with like my stop, like it halts past my stop and then opens, you know, 20-30% higher.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You got to have some sort of risk management, serious risk management, especially if you're a short trader. I think I don't know if I could sleep well at night if I was a short trader.
When I found out about your EDTX trade, because I think you said it in the podcast, I was like, because I was looking on Twitter for all the people who had it, and I was like, I'm seeing all these people like super panicking, like everything, and then I was like, oh, at least no one I know, or no one that I'm aware of. And I saw you, I immediately watched you, and I was like, dang.
Yeah, that's talking about halts. I just saw that VERB might get halted here in a second. Anyone looking at that?
I am.
All halted twice now.
Both of them. Oh, that's funny.
They're late.
I had a feeling
VERB is were on such trash, though.
Holy crap.
It has been doing the same garbage all day long.
Yeah. Just constant rejection.
I hate this stock.
See, this is one of those stock with the names things that we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. VERB. VERB.
It tries to halt at 201. The next second, it's at 174, halting down. It's a joke.
Yeah, that was at 13-14%.
I was looking at the way Dannie trades, because I kept rewatching the last podcast, just that part where he was trading,
Yeah, it was
and
really good.
because I was trying to figure out how to code it. 'Cause I was like, okay, so
How
what
would
would I
you?
go through right now? I'm thinking through it. Don't get me wrong. I have a file literally just like for that idea that I'm going to be executing, and who knows, at some point maybe I'll let you know if I start to emulate close to like a higher frequency trading. The problem is honestly the broker that I have doesn't allow me to, doesn't allow you to be too close. Like it doesn't allow you to put a take profit too close to your price entry, which is kind of shitty.
Oh yeah. That makes things a lot more difficult. Yeah, so what we could do to kind of for one of the last sections here is talk about, the tickers we traded today, if anyone wants to review a little bit, and kind of how we're, because I'm feeling like there's a little bit of back to school momentum going on where, we had a lot of momentum today. It was just, there was a lot of tickers flying, a lot. I think I had like 7 that I made notes on, which is unusually high. And then the volume was definitely here. It was just, we did get a lot of follow through, and we were halting in both directions, like on VERB. Anyone want to share anything, or should I talk a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think they're mid trade right now. So
Yeah, you guys
I'm
are
out.
Yeah,
I had a
watching
lot of trouble today.
HSTT,
I took a really big red day on Friday, and my one goal today, my one thought was just to have a green day.
Yeah.
And I'm not even able to do that. I'm
Ah,
up 1,300 on DT. I was up 2,900 on it and gave back half of that, trying to
2 nasty flushes back
basically
to back.
position in on the pullback. And it just had no continuation at all past the initial move. So I gave back half of what I had made there. I'm down 1,300 on VERB. I took a loss on UPTD, which I traded on Friday, and it was also a mess on Friday. So just a lot of like low quality moves in the market still. There are things popping up and moving, having decent moves, but then they just like stop and don't continue at all.
Yeah, that
And
seems
then
to
the
be
other
my
stuff
problem as
that,
well.
yeah, and then the other stuff that you think looks like it might pop up, it just totally rejects. So you're not really able to get the 2 steps forward on the ones that do have a big move and then just stop. You get like 1.5 maybe, and then on the other ones it's like at least 1.5 or more to the downside. So I'm just chopping around. I'm on a small red day right now.
It's small.
So what's your like emotions feel like right now, coming from the big red day to the because I saw your chart. I was like, I mean, for me, I don't trust that you're gonna do any worse. So I was like, okay, it's just a backslide. But I know I've noticed it from how a lot of consistent traders are. Literally 1 or 2 red days in a month make you guys so sad. It's like you guys get like, oh my god, and I'm like, hey, no, you're good, you made money.
August was a total mess for me. I had like 10 red days in August, 9 or 10, which is way too much. I still finished the month at like 11,500 or something. The end of the month was Thursday, the 31st, and then so last week I had a $1,300 red day on Monday. I don't remember exactly how the days went Tuesday through Thursday, but I made 11,500 Tuesday through Thursday. And then I had an $11,000 red day on Friday, which is the biggest red day I've had in over a year.
9,000.
What's that?
I thought it was 9,000.
Oh, it was. You know how it goes. It was. I took one more trade, and it was actually a good trade. It was on ADTX as it was squeezing up. I was up like $2 a share on it, and then it flushed $8. So I took a loss on that too, even on a good position. It was just not the right day to trade at all.
Yeah.
So like luckily at least I had made 11,500 just a couple days before. So it was nearly a flat week for me. So like I'm not all that bent out of shape about it. It's way bigger of a loss than I would have wanted to have taken. But I know at the same time, I've been up in share size, I've been up in risk. The hardest part for me is just being very objective and disciplined on when to do that. Because I had already been kind of like triggered and frustrated from the month, just taking a lot of red trades. And at a certain point, you just start to go like, what does another $1,000 matter?
Yeah.
That's I mean, we haven't really, I think we made maybe $800 in August. Like it was very low comparative, especially now since I have more strategies. But I don't worry. Even if I had a red month, I'm not really too worried about that. I think differently, but I completely understand, like if you're day to day, especially grinding and sizing up like you are right now, it can be very debilitating, especially to get back like a huge 11,000 2 days. But Toby, how's like your progression? What does it look like in this August? Was it flat?
August was pretty good. It was mostly green, so I did well. And then today I got myself into trouble real early on DWAC and took a $800 loss on it immediately, and then had a couple other small losses. So I was at one point about $1,400 down, but I'm up 1,300 on HSDT, and probably up like $100 right now. So
nice. That's actually really, it's crazy how this guy recovers.
Came back, and then I think, what was it, like last week I had a pretty miserable week. Was it last week, Alex, that I had like $4,000 drawdown?
Toby had one of was that maybe your worst one ever?
It was pretty nasty, yeah.
It was bad.
He recovered?
Do you have the screenshot?
I have the screenshot. Let me find it.
I should you can give me all of your entire equity chart. I can test your recovery factor and see how well you recover every day.
Toby's recovery factor is off the charts. Look at this. So how many trades was
Hell.
this?
That was a couple hundred.
You did like 400 trades or something, Toby, right?
200 something, yeah.
200 something? Oh, okay. Why do I have 400? Probably because we were just talking about 400 earlier, but yeah, this was insane. So you went down to past 4,000, and then you somehow got out at $180 profit.
If I could just turn those into like, get rid of those.
Well, no, but it seems like the way you're trading is causing you to make this though. Like the reason why you can recover is because of how you're trading. Like I feel like the argument of like, if I could only make this if I'm up there, it's not gonna work because you do this when you're down here.
That's true. You do. That's very true. Like Toby gets these big sizes together once he's red, and somehow it works.
Yeah. That's crazy though.
So my max loss would have stopped me out right here, but technically I would have left $1,000 on the table then. But I don't know if mentally I would want to go through all of this first. I would probably pay $1,000 not to experience that. But that's something that every trader is gonna have to figure out on their own. And I'm pretty sure from all my years of experience at this point that I don't know, like sometimes for me, I would just rather walk away. Otherwise, I'm only going to be seeing red, and that might just be too slippery.
I don't know if it's even seeing red for me, because back then it was more, I got like mentally, like I started to get a headache if I sat here like past 12. So that's why I said, that's why I brought up the crispy trade guy, because I'm like, he trades those 400 to 500 trades throughout the entire day. I'm like,
if I was like in my early 20s, I could maybe consider doing that again. But dude, I'm 30 now, and I'm not trying to sit around on my computer all day. Like I'm doing like 7 to 11 max. That's a long trading day for me. Usually I'll trade like 2 hours.
Oh, you trade pre-market too?
I trade.
Oh, so you're still doing longer than I did. I still did. I didn't do pre-market like that. I started like maybe at like ish, maybe 8:30.
Right. But now if I have a great trading session from like 7 to like 7:45, I'll go ahead and call it, because what's happened to me probably more than like 50 times is like where I'll be up 1 or 2,000 at like 7:30 a.m. and then I spend the next 2.5 hours going to max loss or something. And there's something like that eats at your soul when that happens, that I'm just like,
Yeah.
I just can't do that. It's just
Feels
not
terrible.
worth it. It makes you so upset as a human. Like, I would rather just take my, whatever profit, enjoy the rest of the day, go to the park, work out, go surfing. Like, there's so much to do in your life. And then like when you spend more time working and like losing money, that it's a bad feeling.
Yeah, it's funny. And like when my trades are doing well, like when we are up like $500 on the day, and then I see another trade get taken and failed, I'm like, dang it, just stop right there. I'm like, just take the 500.
Yeah,
but it's like, but one time the one time I kept saying that was like our biggest day. It was like $800, $900 for the day, and I was just like, you know what? I was just
it's so tough, because with trading, you're either giving back profits or you're leaving profits on the table, and you have to figure out the ratio that works best for you. Everyone's going to be different there. Some people are fine trading all day long, and if this is the only thing you're doing and you want to become the best at it, that's probably the way to go to some extent. And like for me, I just have too many other projects. I start getting distracted after like 2.5 hours. I'm like, oh, I have to work on this. I'm working on that. I got a Slack over here. I got a Trello board over here. I'm just like, my mind's everywhere. And then once I feel my mind drifting, I start trading exponentially worse. So I've noticed I just need to cut it off. Like, I love trading. I want to get better at this. I want to do it for a long time. But in order to do it for a long time, I can't do it very long every day. That's just the realization I've come to for myself.
Well, I guess to finish it up, because we talked about like the account size thing, that's to some extent, like, that's why I'm still like trying to increase my account size, is also because like we're taking quality trades now, and but it's very few and in between. Like today we didn't have any trades, which was so surprising. Like with all the strategies we had, I think this is the one day this is probably our first day in like months that I haven't had a trade go in, and we still have like another 2 hours, but I doubt it would be. The market seems very like lolly right now.
Yeah,
at least I don't know about you guys, but the large caps, but that's why I'm thinking of sizing up and increasing the account and doing everything, because I'm just like, you know what, it's time to finally just take the risk, because I don't really have any. I'm at the point right now where I don't really have any fear of like things going too wrong. Especially because we are maintaining, and if they were going to go wrong, I'm fine with them going wrong and just figuring it out as it happens. Because sometimes I think when I was trading discretionarily, when it was hard for me to get to that $200 risk per trade, because I was so scared of like, what if I don't perform the same way? And I remember when I started getting to that $150 per trade, I was starting to be like, this is the exact same thing I was doing before. I could have just done this a while ago. And if you look at do you guys know Keyinfo?
K-Info?
No.
Keyinfo? King Info? K-I-N Kinfo. K-I-N-F-O. I think that's it. But that's a place where you can see like verified profits.
Yeah. I've seen this before. I think Colby shared it with me.
Yeah. But like if you see their leaderboard right now, you see a guy who's going really mad, like doing really well, but his equity chart is something crazy. But he's up 6 million, and it's like the risk that he's taking. I just compare him to everyone else, and I'm like, he might not have the cleanest chart, but he's profitable over a long time, and he is making more money than everyone. It's all just about how much risk you feel comfortable about taking. And after you get to a certain point, you can be more logical and just say, let me take my money and go. And I think like that's where I'm trying to be in my mindset. It's like, you know what? I could probably turn $2,000 to 20K in like 3 to 4 months. If I risk high enough on that $2,000, I've already done all the simulations.
Yeah, and you slave away all day at the computer.
Yeah. So it's
possible.
Like, it's very possible with even, that example I showed you guys was 6% risk. And I tried it with 10%. It went up to 50K. Like that 2K, if I traded on my account since the beginning of the year with 10% risk, it would have been up 50K. And it just makes me feel like, well, what's the point of me, not taking that risk if it's $2,000? So I think figuring out like when you have to start doing that is pretty critical as a trader. So
I think so too. I've actually had that same realization where I'll have like a $200 day or a $200 red day, and then I'll think to myself, this is not worth it. Like, this is not worth my time financially to be doing this. So like, if I'm going to keep trading, I have to size up. Otherwise, there's an opportunity cost here that is very, very negative for me to keep trading.
Yeah.
So like today, I was using fairly big size. I mean, I'm walking away today at 344 profit. It's not like a big green day, but like if I didn't have so many losers and the market was a little bit less choppy and I had like just literally 1 or 2 trades like worked out back to back, it was so hard. Like what Danny was saying, like two steps backwards constantly, or just like you never have that opportunity to like get that second win. It just doesn't exist right now. It's so frustrating. And that's usually how you have a big green day. So I guess what was my point just now? I just got totally
about sizing, like the opportunity cost.
Yeah. The opportunity cost with sizing is like I just had to start using bigger size. Like I want my average maybe to be around 10,000. So like my starter size needs to be like 5,000 for an okay trade. If it's a good trade, I should already be at 10,000. If it's like a great or like an A+ perfect setup, I should be using like 20K right away, because otherwise it's like, what am I doing? I'm kind of wasting my time. I could maybe have a 1K green day, 2K green day, but it's still like at that point where it like once you average out the red days and everything, it probably still won't be worth it. I could get a job and make more money, if I'm trading small size.
Exactly. That's like, if you simulate that and see what, like I could take your equity chart and just take the changes in your equity and put a 100 like different position sizes and show you what that would look like. And you'd be like, wow, I could have just been doing that and not having to, just cut. Because then every your slow days are going to be amazing in your comparative to your net worth, right?
Exactly.
Size up. And it sometimes, luckily you guys are trading small caps, so you guys, leverage isn't something that you have to deal with.
Luckily not.
That for me right now, the biggest issue is literally just leverage. I cannot, especially with all these strategies, some of them are taking $70,000 positions. They're emptying out my account in like 2 positions. I'm like, so but yeah, you guys are lucky to only have to deal with the cheaper stocks, and then maybe an EDTX once every, I don't know. I don't know if I've actually heard of an EDTX the last 3 years.
Dude, I don't think it's a very common occurrence. Like, I don't know. Like most of the time, I think you'll get stuck maybe in a halt down and lose 10-20% max. And that rarely happens. That's only happened to me, I think, maybe twice. And that's like if I'm aggressively trading halts, which there was a time I was. I do it less now, and it's never happened to me. So I don't know. Any other thoughts though going forward here? Looking at the SPY, thinking about the small caps, thinking large caps, indexes. Like, what are your guys' thoughts, game plans going forward here now that we're back to school?
I'm hoping that we start to get some moves picking up coming into the fall. A little bit more consistency, just like once every now and then. It would be nice if we get that second move on anything. Because like we're either getting something that just goes completely straight up and there's no way to trade it, or just like nothing else.
Yeah.
So
pop and drop.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, there's things are moving, but not always being in a trade is an issue. The market moves. I need to figure out how to take advantage of it. So my focus is just executing on all these strategies. I recently said this in Discord to Kobe. I have a bunch of new techniques that I learned that are going to improve my strategies and make it easier for me to make new strategies. So hopefully next 2 months, actually, I hope to add like 5 new strategies, make it like 15. And each of my strategies trade at least 3 stocks. So, we're talking right now, we're streaming about 25 stocks. By the end of this year, we should be streaming at least like 30 to 35.
That's going to be a fun adventure to follow.
Yeah, our data is I'm having issues with the server people, and I might have to get a new server probably next year if I open up a new account. But I'm also thinking a little bit of like scaling into like an actual business. What does that look like? That's annoying though, obviously, but But it's a good way to make a lot of money, because I also do know some people who have a lot of money just sitting in their bank accounts.
Yeah,
Right.
I have a friend with a startup, and she's asking for me dropping in occasionally, so I might do a little bit of that. But yeah, I mean,
If
you
they
so
need
many
an
hours
algo
in a day.
consultant, let me know.
Yeah. What about you, Toby?
Yeah, just hoping for some more consistency. I'm kind of considering not trading so much pre-market right now because there just hasn't been anything going on. It just feels like I'm wasting 2 hours every time I turn on my
Totally agree
computer
with
for
you.
pre-market.
What time is pre-market for you there?
It's 6 p.m. here.
Oh, okay.
So I'd rather just kind of save the mental capital and just wait for the market open where there's a little bit more volatility and definitely more volume, so it's easier to get out of positions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next time we have to quiz Toby on how it is over there. Yo, where exactly are you again?
I'm in Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand. Okay, I was gonna guess Thailand. Yeah, I need to know what's happening in Thailand. I used to have some Thai friends. I lived in Malaysia like 13 years, so I know a little bit Chinese, you know.
Mhm.
Boy actually speaks some Mandarin. My Cantonese is horrible. And I also don't speak. I don't speak because my intonation is horrible, but I can understand a good bit because all my friends were Chinese.
I've been studying Thai for a little over a year now, so
Oh, so you speak Thai?
I'm trying to.
Oh, nice.
I'm learning how to read and write right now.
Nice. You said you lived in China for a little bit too, right?
Yeah, I worked for the Chinese sport, Winter Olympic sport for 4 years.
Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, we'll do the quizzing next time, so I can learn more about you and like what you do over there.
Nice, good. Yeah, everyone, drop your questions. We'll get our questions ready for each other so we can quiz each other. And yeah, we'll answer more questions next pod, guys. Thanks everyone for dropping in.
See you guys. All right,
Ciao, everyone.